Keith from VirtualizedGeek.com with another installment of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk. Today is the 27th of August, and this is the end of VMworld for me. VMworld has one more day left, but unfortunately, I have to go back to work and actually justify going to conferences like this. One of the major themes that I got out of VMworld this year obviously was NSX. VMware was very heavy on their network virtualization platform, NSX. Everything from software-defined networking to vSAN, all their new announcements, all of their cloud initiatives, all had tied in the theme of NSX. I spent a lot of time talking to folks throughout the conference, a lot of VMware customers, talking about their excitement around NSX. There's a lot to discuss around it when it came to the customers. One, whether or not they believed in the solution, which a majority of them actually did. And two, their questions around what exactly the solution will do for their environment and if their environment is ready to accept NSX from not just a technical perspective, but also from an operations perspective. A lot of the crowd at VMworld usually falls within the server administrator role or the virtualization admin, which usually centers around server virtualization, x86 virtualization, while the network is normally controlled by a different group of people. I had a very dynamic conversation with a enterprise architect that had very mixed feelings around NSX, and it kind of captures, I think, both the technical challenges and the operational challenges behind NSX. He was really passionate about the idea that VMware's approach to network virtualization probably wasn't the right approach. He believed that there's need for network abstraction, for network virtualization in general. He just didn't necessarily believe that it was VMware's place to provide that actual infrastructure. So the creation of OpenSwitch, of network hypervisors, he felt that a more balanced approach, similar to how VMware has approached network virtualization pre the Nicira purchase, would be the catalyst for or their foundation for providing network or virtualization for the industry. So basically, he was looking for VMware to continue their use of APIs that created the Cisco 1000V to continue to basically create network function devices versus creating a network hypervisor which goes to own the entire network. His main argument was probably one of the VMware's main challenges, which is getting the entire industry on board with the NSX vision, using protocols such as VXLAN to do cool things. One of the cool things I saw at the show was F5 has a load balancer that will load balance using VXLAN load balance a node that's on a NSX virtual port with a node that's on a physical network port. That is a true integration of partnership between the hardware vendor and the software vendor. He was very disappointed, this VMware customer, that there was no announcement that Cisco was a partner in the initial deployment of NSX via the open standard protocols such as VXLAN. He felt that since Cisco has such a large footprint within the data center, it's almost impossible to make a new disruptive technology without Cisco being completely on board and supporting the effort. He believes in his data centers, primarily Cisco. If he wants to deploy NSX, does that mean that he has to go to a Juniper or Arista based solution, who are both partners with VMware in their NSX launch? I don't know. It's a pretty good question. I kind of had a different slant on that. That got me to thinking kind of about Cisco and the position that they're in. Obviously, the network is going to be virtualized. It may not be NSX. We'll wait to see. Folks at VMware, Martin Crusato, VMware's network CTO, was very passionate about his vision for virtualized networks. But obviously, Cisco isn't too excited about it. And recently, in their recent layoffs of 4,000 people, even though they had strong profits this past quarter, got me to thinking: are they positioning themselves to be a leaner organization? Not just because there's going to be less networking devices sold, but the type of devices that they're going to sell are going to be different. Are they looking to create a environment in which their the network hypervisor or the virtualized network runs on Cisco gear? Cisco is a hardware company. They're not going to change from being a hardware company. They've kind of doubled down in hardware, becoming one of the biggest server vendors in the world. So my thinking is that that Cisco will come up with a solution that allows them to keep their market, the stranglehold they have on the enterprise market, by providing network virtualization, but network virtualization that runs on their hardware. We already see this kind of in their SDN play with their programmable network, how they've embraced SDN from the ability to open up APIs to make the network programmable, but not by putting the flow control on x86 servers, but by creating APIs into their network to give open flow type capability, flow control type capability from applications via their programming API. So, recap, very exciting VMworld this year. Not necessarily because of all of the cool announcements around VMware's products, but because of all the excitement around network virtualization, which I believe is pretty much the greenfield or the next area of true expansion in virtualization and technology in general, specifically within the infrastructure. You know, I have a lot of videos, topics around some of the stuff that I talked about at VMware, specifically OpenStack. Next week's video, I plan to talk about PayPal and their implementation of OpenStack on their VMware platform and some of their challenges. Until then, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the videos, visit us on virtualizedgeek.com, and I'll talk to you next week. Thanks.